Hello everyone, sorry it's been a while since I posted a movie review on this channel. I'll admit, I've been taking a break for a while. I've had a lot of personal stuff going on lately. But now I'll be making more movie reviews, even if I just make 2 movie reviews a month or maybe movie topic videos depending on my schedule and personal life. In this video today I'll be reviewing Roman Holiday from 1953. My dad will be joining me in this review, but before we do that, here I am explaining who wrote, directed, starred, and the plot and produced the movie. Roman Holiday is a romantic comedy movie made by Paramount Pictures. It was directed by William Wyler. William Wyler was a famous Hollywood film director back in the golden age of Hollywood who directed movies like Ben-Hur, The Best Years of Our Lives, and Mrs. Miniver, and he directed a lot of other great movies too. It was written by Dalton Trumbo. Dalton Trumbo was a writer who was blacklisted by Hollywood back in 1947 for refusing to testify who was a communist in Hollywood at that time period. The movie stars Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck. The movie was nominated for 10 Academy Awards and won 3 awards. The plot to Roman Holiday is about Princess Anne is bored of her schedule, goes out exploring Rome. She meets reporter Joe Bradley. When he finds out who she really is, he wants to expose her for publicity and a scandal, but despite all that, he ends up falling in love with her. Hello everyone, I am joined once again by my father for a movie review. Say hi, Dad.
Hello, everybody.
Today we are reviewing Roman Holiday. So what do you think of Roman Holiday, Dad?
Well, it's a movie that I really enjoyed. I hadn't seen it so fairly recently, but it's also something that has kind of set the formula for different movies that have occurred, recently.
Right, true. Like, in a way, I definitely see, Disney having some inspiration for, a little bit of, Aladdin, because her character is, a character who's, tired of, same routine and same, she feels like she feels, bored. She wants to go out and experience, life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're Princess Diaries is another one.
I could see that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the only difference is she finds out that she's a princess, and...
Right.
Yeah. I just love, this movie, the performance, the story. It's, so, beautiful, poetic, and, despite that I'm a little bit, iffy about rom-com, but this is not really, a stupid, dumb rom. It's more of, a really, true, powerful, strong love story.
Mm-hmm.
You have a guy who's, trying to write an article, make a buck, but then, later on, as, he, spends more time with, Princess Anne, he really, starts to fall for her. Love is what really changes her.
Right.
And him, I mean.
Right. Yeah, he's doing his job. He's a reporter. He's supposed to report the news.
Right.
And he gets a lead.
Right.
But it's then he gets romantically involved.
Right.
With Audrey Hepburn.
Right.
So he's in a difficult spot.
Yeah. It shows what happens, how love can change somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Despite he's trying to do his job, but it all goes out the window when you fall in love with somebody that you really love a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And despite, as I mentioned, when we were watching, it's you're hating him throughout the movie, but then later on he's growing on you a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. And Audrey Hepburn, she is just amazing. She definitely deserved the Oscar for this movie.
Right. It was her first movie.
Yeah. Well, not really. It was more her breakout in as America. Before she was known in I think Hungarian, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean she was in some world cinema film.
Yeah, world cinema. She was known in that, but then eventually, when she did this film, this was her breakout.
I should say her first Hollywood movie.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you mean. That was still, yeah, you're right. It was her breakout in Hollywood, and she won the Oscar for this, and this is how she really got recognition and how she became a huge star at that, doing other films like Funny Face, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and yeah.
Yeah, she became a real icon.
Oh yeah,
a trendsetter, fashion wise.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And later on in her life, she was a real humanitarian, helping children in different countries that had difficulties with not getting enough food, etc.
Right.
So she was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and like you said before, how she became an icon in fashion. I see a lot of YouTubers out there, either doing do it yourself, how to dress up like that character from Breakfast at Tiffany's, or other movies, etc., or like what was her fashion like back in the 50s and 60s that was very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely left a big legacy and icon before and still going strong to this day for moviegoers or fashion designers.
Right.
Yeah.
And Gregory Peck was excellent as he.
Oh, he's that. Oh, he is. Well, he was a great actor, Gregory Peck, in
Yes.
general.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the reason like why Audrey like broke out for this film, because he's the like one that I think, I'm not sure if this is true or not. He like suggested the studio for her and stuff, and like one of those kind of stories where he wanted
Mm-hmm.
her, but the studio's like, I don't know, and he goes, I won't do this movie then if you won't hire Audrey Hepburn as for the part. And they're like, okay, let's hire her, and boy was he right.
Yep, he was right.
Yeah, worked. Success, Gregory Peck.
Mm-hmm. And another character I really liked was Eddie Albert.
Yeah, he was
playing his friend. He was very funny.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was really known for comedy. He was more of a dramatic actor.
Right.
But he gave really an excellent performance.
He did. I like it like when they're out in the town, like having a nice evening, roaming the town of Rome, and he's like trying to like say something to Gregor, but he's trying to hide like his identity from her. That way she doesn't
Mm-hmm.
like know like what he's like trying to do to her and stuff.
Yeah, Gregory Peck keeps spilling stuff on him, whether it's coffee or wine or whatever it is.
It was also funny too, like when it's funny how like in the movie he's like behind on his rent and yet he's got money to go out and buy wine and food.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Something I always notice, not just like this movie, any movie where it's like, wait a second, you can't pay your rent and taxes, but yet you have money to buy cigarettes, coffee, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also funny, like when she leaves his apartment, the landlord gets that like misunderstood, thinking that she's a hooker, but that's just not the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very funny.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The script is great, and as we all know, it was written by one of the members that was basically exiled from Hollywood.
Yes.
And his name is Dalton Trumbo.
Right.
And he wrote the screenplay, but
Yes.
another writer took the credit for it.
Yes. Well, that time, like we saw in the movie Trumbo with Bryan Cranston,
Right.
he had to use a fake identity in order to make sure no one knew that he was still like writing movies in Hollywood at that time. And
Mm-hmm.
hey, whatever he was, or he was still amazing, talented writer. But again,
Mm-hmm.
we can separate the art from the artist, right, Dad?
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
And actually, it was during the trials, or I should say the investigations by McCarthy
Yeah.
during the era when people were really afraid of communism.
Right.
Were afraid that communists were infiltrating this country.
Right.
So many people unfairly lost their jobs.
Yeah.
And one of them, which was Dalton Trumbo.
Dalton Trumbo, yeah. A lot, even like, I don't know if maybe I don't know if this is a little bit off topic, but did you ever see like footage of how like when Elia Kazan, like towards the end before he passed away, when he was like awarded like some kind of like lifetime achievement at the Oscars?
Right.
You see like Warren Beatty's clapping and Steven Spielberg giving a little applause. You see like a mixed
right.
Nick Nolte, Ed Harris, and Sean Penn for a reason, because his dad was one of those people who was blacklisted, and I remember writing an essay about that in my one of my film classes. The question was, would you still applaud Elia Kazan despite what he did? And it's a tough one to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what happened during that time is that Kazan named names so that he could continue with his career.
Right.
And a lot of people were really hurt by that.
Yeah.
And there's some people that really could not stand him after that happened.
Right.
One of which was Rod Steiger. He was very vocal
Right.
about how much he did not like Elia Kazan.
Right. Hey, despite what all the like back then, whatever their beliefs were, they still made some pretty cool, great movies back in that time.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But back in that time, I don't think no one knew the secrets like they do now with all this stuff that's coming out about with books or even like made biography films about them, like in Trumbo.
Mm-hmm.
Trumbo was one of them, which I thought was an amazing like film that. And it's ironic when that film came out, I was writing that essay at the time about Elia Kazan, if I would applaud him or not.
Yeah, and that was a great performance by Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, despite that I sort of like went in blind and not knowing much about who he was and not sure, like, again, because when you watch biography films, you don't know like how accurate this is compared to real life in the movie.
Well, you could tell he did a lot of research.
Oh, yeah, he did. Well, that's what actors are supposed to do when they're playing their characters. They gotta know like what their body language was or what their person. But then again, I don't know if like any of Trumbo's like kids or grandkid or are alive today.
I don't know.
Yeah, like I don't know, like Cranston like maybe like reached out to the Trumbo fan or whoever's alive or not, or just like research by watching his movies. And I thought it was funny how, again, I didn't get a chance to research this, but there's a scene in the movie like when he's writing Roman Holiday. I don't remember what the original title was supposed to be, but whatever that title was, I'm glad they went with this title instead. It makes more sense because of its title. It's about a princess, beautiful, and she wants a day off from being royalty to experience life.
Right.
Which is an appropriate title for this movie.
Right, it is Roman Holiday. I forget what it was. It was something like The Princess and the Reporter, or something like that, where the princess goes on vacation, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, but it was Roman Holiday is just perfect.
It is. No, it's the perfect title because it really defines what this movie is all about.
Mm-hmm. It's it's a very touching story.
It is.
Very bittersweet in the end.
It is.
Like I said, it does serve as kind of a template for future relationships between royalty and commoners.
Yeah.
Although that goes back all the way back to Mark Twain and The Prince and the Pauper.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But still, one of the things that we, John and I recently watched was The Odd Couple.
Yes.
And there was an episode that was kind of similar to Roman Holiday.
Which was yes. Yes, when he's doing photography for a fictional princess played by Gene Simmons. Yeah. I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could definitely say that some like comedy shows had inspiration. Well, then again, that there's a lot of like not just this movie. There's like tons of like movies where they took like the same premise as that movie, but just made like their own. Like whether it was like a TV show, like on a comedy show, and that's a different like topic though. For like and TV shows, they took the same like inspiration for that movie, just made their own version of themselves. That's one of them.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like you said before, I love the end of this movie. It's just so like, it's like a happy and like set. It's not like one or the other. It
is, and it's definitely a movie to see.
Yes.
If you have any hesitation about it, you should not. Because I'm sure that you will enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. Because, it's a guy, because, like I said, because he fell in love with her, but because of she's royalty and he's not, they can't be together because of that, because of that's a big, strict rule in the, even though I don't know, like, the whole, like, royalty format, but I can only imagine that's a big rule.
Yeah, not only that, they have different lives.
Right, true.
You have the reporter.
Average, everyday person.
Gregory Peck. Who, he has his job. It is his profession.
Yeah.
And one or the other would have to leave their life in order to live with the other. And neither one is willing to do that.
Well, I don't know. Like, when you look at, like, recently with, like, Meghan Markle, and she wasn't royalty, so I don't know. It seems to be...
Well, I mean, her husband decided to leave the royal lifestyle to be with her, so it's a difficult life decision,
But when you think about it, if they did a movie like this today, it probably would be either like, well, if they did something like this, like maybe like in the 80s or 90s, it would have been Princess Diana, but here in like either the 2010s or 2023, they would use either Meghan Markle, Prince William, or Kate Middleton or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, not that I'm saying don't do that idea, but just saying though, like. Hey, then again, Hollywood's getting too desperate these days for, money, and I guess that wraps up everything we've talked about. Okay, so that was my review. Hope you liked it. Subscribe to that like button and that notification bell to get the latest updates on my YouTube channel. And we'll see you next time for a future movie review. Say bye, Dad.
Bye bye.